Hello and welcome. This is Sneha Purkayastha from the Northeastern Chronicle, and today we have with us Mr. Satyajit Kumar and Mr. Chinmoy Bordoloi from the SPM IAS Academy. We often come across or see students who are confused as to what to choose or what to do after their graduation. Some students might be also trying for competitive examination. To answer those queries, we have with us Sir today, who will be explaining further about the topic. So sir, firstly I would like to ask you that how to determine whether a student after graduation, he shall be pursuing post-graduation or whether he should continue his preparation for the civil services. And if he does pursue his post-graduation, will that age factor be a disadvantage?
Okay, see, if someone wants to appear for civil service examination, then I would suggest that he should start his preparation as early as possible. If he has already made up his mind that he will be appearing for civil service examination, then I don't think there is a need for going for this post-graduation, because the minimum qualification which is required for this civil service examination is graduation. Right, so post-graduation is not required. So this post-graduation, if he is thinking of appearing in the civil service examination, so I don't think this post-graduation will help him a lot, right? So in that case, I would suggest that if he has made up his mind, then he should go for preparation right after graduation. That will save his time, right? So he will be full of energy after he will be a freshly graduate student, so he will be full of energy, he will be able to dedicate his time, he will not be having any other liabilities. So that 2 years he can use for his preparation. He can give his 100% in those 2 years if he start preparation right after the graduation.
Alright. So sir, most often we see that many students, due to their poor financial backgrounds,
Yes,
or because there is a pressure from their family, they choose to pursue either post-graduation or they're bound to do certain job, but they pursue to be a civil servant. So how can you let our viewers know about how they can manage their time so as to pursue both parallelly?
Yes, you are right. There are some students who like those who want to appear for the civil service examination, but because of some financial conditions they have to go for these jobs and all. So in that case, you see right now the traditional preparation method has changed, right? Or mainly because of this COVID situation, now all the institutions or all the schools and colleges, these institutions have shifted to the online mode, and actually that is helping those students, right? We also have many students who are working, right? Working students we have, and for them we are providing online classes, right? So now those traditional classroom coachings, instead of those classroom coachings, they can avail these online classes, right? And yes, for those students who are working, who have some other commitments, so they will have to give some extra effort in this preparation, right? They have to be mentally prepared for that. If someone is completely 100%, they are giving their 100% in this preparation only, so they will be able to manage or they will be able to complete their preparation maybe within 2 years or 1.5 years. But for those students who are working somewhere, who have some other commitments, it may take 2 and 2.5 years for them, but they have to be mentally prepared. If someone is studying for 12 hours a day, right, and if he does not have any other commitment, then they will have to work for 12 hours a day. But if someone is having some other commitment, he is working somewhere, then he will have to work for 8 hours. Then apart from that 8 hours, he will have to give another 5 to 6 hours for preparation. So if one is ready to give this extra effort, if they are ready to work harder, then I think they can also prepare for this examination. And there are a lot of examples where you will see that many students who are working somewhere, now they also have cracked this examination. So it is not like that a working person cannot clear this exam. That is not so, right? So we have examples where working candidates have also appeared and they have cracked this example in their first attempt itself.
So sir, further moving on, we often hear advices from people that you should have a plan B. There should be a plan B so as to, and that plan B should be stronger. अगर plan A successful नहीं हुआ तो plan B तुम जा सकते हो. So what are your views about it?
Yeah, actually you see, when it comes to plan B, whether you should have a plan B or not, it depends on what is your plan B. If your plan B is aligned with your plan A, then this plan B will not hamper. I will explain it with an example. Suppose your plan A is UPSC, right? You want to appear for civil service examination conducted by UPSC. Now, if your plan B is APSC, civil service conducted by Assam Public Service Commission, then while preparing your plan A, you are already like getting prepared for plan B. In that case, plan B will not hamper your plan A. Similarly, if your plan A is a civil service examination conducted by APSC, you are preparing for civil service examination conducted by APSC, and you have your plan B where you have thought that if you cannot crack APSC exam, then you will go for other departmental exam. In that case also, your plan B will not hamper your plan A, because if you prepare for civil service examination, then you will be ready for all the other departmental exams conducted by Assam government, right? So when it comes to plan B, ये plan B और plan A align हो अगर हो, right? Plan A and plan B अगर align है तो plan B will not hamper plan A. But yes, अगर आपका plan A और plan B completely opposite direction में है, एक करने से दूसरे के बारे में कुछ सोच भी नहीं सकते हैं, उस केस में there is a chance that you will get confused कि whether I should stick to plan A or I should start preparing for plan B also. In that case, you will be in a confused state, and in that case, it is better not to have a plan B. But if your plan B is aligned with your plan A, then like that will reduce your stress, that will reduce your pressure. In that case, that plan B will help you achieving your plan A.
So sir, based on my abilities, on what factors should be determining as to what should I opt for after my graduation?
Okay, so look, what I believe ability is quite a subjective term, and since you have said that what you should opt after graduation, I believe you are too young to think what your abilities are. Ability, if at this particular age, if you are fresh graduate, means you are 21, 22. Ability at this particular age is more of a leveling that what your peer group or your family has imposed upon you, rather than something inherent, naturally coming. So if you think that you are not capable or capable of doing something, I think is more has to be judged from your actions that you will be doing right from now on. So rather than thinking what you are capable or incapable of, I suggest a fresh graduate should think what he or she aspires for, what his or her ambitions are, right? And I believe that whatever your ambitions are, you can develop yourself in that manner, you can groom yourself, adapt yourself in that direction. And since I'm myself a civil services mentor, I've seen many aspirants who have started preparation right after graduation, and they believe their family has leveled them that you are incapable of something, of this particular thing. But what we have witnessed over a period of time, that they have worked hard, they have developed themselves in that particular manner, and they have been successful also. So the baseline is, particularly I don't believe what a fresh graduate is capable or incapable of, because capability develops or it comes over a period of time in a direction where you work. So rather than thinking about that, focus on your ambitions, aspirations, and work accordingly. And I believe any fresh graduate can achieve whatever he or she wants to achieve in his or her life.
Very well said, sir. So sir, many of our viewers may be first timers who are attempting for this examination. So what are the things they should be careful about while preparing for UPSC or APSC?
Look, if you are preparing for the first time, first thing I would like to say that it's your golden opportunity. Whatever you have heard from so many people, I would say not myth, but to great extent not right, that it requires a lot of hard work and many years. Your first attempt is your golden period, because at that time your inner efforts, or I may say your enthusiasm is at the peak, right? And regarding your question, what things should be kept in mind? The question is, things are quite obvious. See the syllabus, see the past year questions, and think accordingly. Don't go by the idea that what others are saying, you have to read this or that book, that many materials, you need to put 5 years or 10 years of hard work, nothing like that. See syllabus, see past year's questions, and apply your common sense, and you'll get an idea how this exam should be prepared. And as I have said, since you have already said preparing for civil services, this is a generalistic exam. You need not to be a specialist in any particular field. You need not to do a research in a particular field. For example, you are going for political science optional, that does not mean that you should be an expert in political science, I would say. See questions, questions are quite generalistic, and you can prepare it in a well manner. If you put concerted effort for 1 year, you can do it. So again, the baseline is syllabus, past year questions, and your common sense. And don't give much weightage to what people around you are saying. For example, we all tend to advise Rahul Dravid how he should bat, right? So think in that manner. We all have an idea. We means everyone around you in society, even everyone will have idea how you should prepare for civil services. Don't go by that general idea. Apply your common sense. That will help you a lot.
All right, sir. So, sir, if my graduation or HS marks are poor, will it reduce the chance of cracking this examination?
No, not at all. It's a very good question, because many students have this doubt in their mind that if they have poor marks in their academic career, then will it reduce their chances of cracking this examination. But I want to clear this doubt that APSC or UPSC, they have not declared any minimum percentage, right? क्यों नहीं दिया है मिनिमम परसेंटेज? बिकॉज कि आप अपने कॉलेज लेवल में, ग्रेजुएशन या एचएस लेवल में आपने कितना मार्क्स स्कोर किए हैं, उससे आपका जो काबिलियत है वो लोग उस बेसिस पे एसेस नहीं करते हैं, right? There are plenty of examples where you will see there are candidates who have performed very poor, who were very poor in their academic career, but still they managed to crack this examination. Why? क्योंकि ये examination में जो आपका जो क्वालिटी चाहिए वो बस स्कूल और कॉलेज का मार्क्स से एसेस नहीं कर सकते हैं कोई, right? तो to be an efficient administrator you must possess certain qualities which cannot be assessed through your HS or graduation marks, right? So that is why they have not declared any minimum percentage which is required for this examination. आपको बस graduation है तो then you can appear for this examination. कोई minimum percentage यहाँ पे नहीं declare किया गया है, right? तो आपका अगर academic career में HS में या graduation में आपका percentage कम भी है तो उससे घबराना नहीं है. इसके बावजूद बहुत सारे एग्जाम्पल्स भी है कि आप परसेंटेज कम होने के बावजूद दे हैव क्लियर दिस एग्जामिनेशन. तो ग्रेजुएशन में किसी का अगर परसेंटेज कम भी है, इट डजंट मैटर अट ऑल.
So, sir, supposedly a student is from technical background. He has been placed in a company after his graduation. So, what shall he do? Like whether he should go for his job or he should be preparing for this examination?
Look, I believe both can be done simultaneously. And many people have done, so others can also do. Many people have done it successfully, and there are many examples. I need not to go into particulars. And after this COVID thing, I believe this one particular positive has come out, that now things have come completely online. Earlier, yes, there were some constraints. Even coaching institutes, like I can give my own example since I myself run a coaching institute for civil services. Yes, earlier, before COVID, I'm talking pre-COVID scenario, things were not available online the way you tend to get in offline manner. But the COVID has forced us to give everything in online manner the way we have been giving in offline. So अब कोई अंतर है नहीं. अब अंतर जो पड़ेगा वो पड़ेगा आपकी मेहनत पे. If you are working, you will have to work double shift. 8 hours of job, 8 or 9 hours of job, and 8-9 hours of your preparation time. उससे ज़्यादा कोई पढ़ता भी नहीं है. I'm telling you, जो जॉब छोड़ करके भी तैयारी करते हैं, ऐसा नहीं है कि वो 16 घंटे 17 घंटे पढ़ाई करते हैं. ये मतलब just to frighten you people कि इतना करना है, इसके बिना होगा नहीं. आप इंसान हैं, आप कंसिस्टेंट मैनर में यू कैन स्टडी ओनली फॉर 7-8 hours a day. आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग ऑफ एग्जाम टाइम. जब एग्जाम आ जाता तो हर इंसान पढ़ता है, लेकिन अगर आप नॉर्मल टाइम में जब आपका एग्जाम 1 साल दूर है, हर इंसान 7-8 घंटे पढ़ता है, तो आप जॉब के साथ भी पढ़ सकते हो. जॉब के साथ पढ़ाई करने का एक एडवांटेज है. डिसएडवांटेज तो ऑफकोर्स सब लोग जानते हैं कि तकलीफ होती है इतना टाइम मैनेज कर पाना. और 8 घंटे सिर्फ जॉब के बाद ऐसा नहीं कि यू कम बैक होम एंड यू आर कम्प्लीटली रिलीव्ड, क्योंकि जॉब का टेंशन थोड़ा बहुत रहता ही है. तो वो डिसएडवांटेज तो हम सब जानते हैं. ये एक एडवांटेज ये है कि यू फील लाइक यू आर नॉट मिसिंग ऑन एनीथिंग. आपका करियर भी चल रहा है और साथ ही साथ आप प्रिपेयर भी कर रहे हैं. हाँ, मेहनत डबल करनी होगी. बट देन मैनी पीपल हैव डन इट इन द पास्ट, सो देयर इज नो रीजन व्हाई others who are aspiring to become civil service servant while being in a job cannot do it. There is no reason why they can't.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir, for being with us today and giving us your valuable time. That's all for this episode. Keep watching the Northeastern Chronicle.